Hi, welcome. This is part 6 of my breakdown um, series between Robert Cabral and the president of the International Association of Canine Professionals. And again, filling in the gaps. I encourage you to check out this entire series. I'm going to be going through using it as as a framework for a discussion to help connect dots. Okay, talk about the source of the problem. So, I'm going to be using this to, again, to fill in the gaps, those who are looking for answers. And my goal here through, again, on Rumble, my Rumble channel, is I'm going to be putting out as much as I can more frequent podcasts, be talking through for those looking for answers. Again, I encourage you to check out for even more extensive video content, my member area option. I just called it member area. Anyone can be a member. Available on my website, caninepack.com. And I have on there, I have a extensive breakdown discussion series between Ivan Belanoff and Larry Crone, focusing on the role of the remote collar, talking about the core ingredients, influence, and control, going through all the twists and turns. So it's a extensive breakdown series, but also have lots of exclusive content you're not going to find on my YouTube channel as part of the member area option. More insightful, in-depth instructional videos related to the system of training. Also, I mentioned I have my courses available. So if you are a dog trainer or wanting to be a dog trainer, I have, the dog trainer certification course through the system. I have a couple of online courses to establish the framework, okay, to get you dialed in. And again, I encourage you, because again, this went through the whole thing with a couple individuals that had taken these courses, and they, when I was having this back and forth with the anti-dog trainer, very surprising to me, a couple individuals who, were had brought forward about they took the courses, they were having struggling, but they didn't contact me, and these were like already like trainers, and so it really kind of illustrates the point that again, I still to this day haven't encouraged them to reach out to me. I'm more than happy to work with them to, but again, this illustrates. I talked about this. This is why, yeah, I put out a couple of videos talking about this issue about people walking the fence, being double-minded in the way in which they identify, struggling. And I make this point, and this relates to, coming through this system of training, wanting to be a trainer, this, and I'd encourage people to do it. But you cannot identify as a balanced, force-free, or identify with this idea that trains a learning-based exercise and be successful with being able to absorb the information, being able to engage, being able to come alongside this interaction-based method, because it's a different path. And so, to me, it isn't about just making money that way at all. I want people to be successful, and I want to people to experience the same journey that as me. But you have to, your starting point, you have to let it go. Okay, you have to let it go. And so there's no wiggle room here. So, my encouragement is for people to do that. So, but again, there's options available to the system, but the system of training, it's a complete system. Okay, it's an original source system. You're not going to find any other system of training out there like this system. Okay, it follows the path of nature. It answers the questions. And so when I get in this whole thing about this, why I'm doing these series here to really kind of open it up to talk through all of this so people can approaching at certain angles here, hopefully to help to for some light bulbs to come on for people. But understand the problem here. Understand there's a difference between, and I want to make this point clear. That's why I put up those videos which come off kind of it may appear kind of harsh when I say I don't want to deal with double-minded people, but that's the problem here. Understand that you're dealing with the dog training community that has been turned over. This is a type of identity crisis happening. This is like entrenched stuff going on here. And the dog training world is a complete train wreck. It's a mess for a reason. And so, there's a difference between how I engage this. Okay, I'm going to come off a certain way. But here's the thing. I help, just the typical average dog owner all the time. okay, and I don't have these problems, right? Because they're ready for help. I sit down with them. I take the time, encouragement. I don't even bring. You won't even hear me bring any of this stuff up. This is specific to the dog training community. What's happening? I just want people to understand. Here's the problem because I'm just a messenger. I'm saying here it is. Don't complain. This is why the dog training world is coming apart. Because my whole thing is if the boat is sinking and this is going down and the force-free movement's taking over, then I'm going to raise my voice. Okay, people can like it, they can love it, they can, the video put up with double-minded people getting all these thumbs down. I don't care. I mean, this is the response from the dog training community. So, I'm the only one talking about this. I don't see any other trainer out there talking the way I'm talking. So there you go. I mean, I expect people not to like the information, but then take that and apply it to what's going on. Look at these trainers, because they can say whatever they want. They can say about how successful they are, but based on what exactly? Think about it. At the expense of it's a racket, okay? At the expense of all these dogs being destroyed, these trainers are all patting themselves on the back. It's a red game, it's a Ponzi scheme. They're all doing it. So there you go. I mean, you want to know why this is so bad, and then they want to play the victim card. I'm done with it. Okay, I'm done with it in a way that I'm just gonna tell it the way it is. Let the chips fall where they may, because this goes right back to when I started my journey. That was my thing at the beginning. You talk about ethics, okay, having a moral compass. It was like because these trainers, they don't do it. It's like saying, just come to that point before you even do anything else. Just saying, listen, the truth is the truth. Let the chips fall where they may. I'm going to follow the right path, and that's it. And if it means that it puts me in opposition to 99.9% of all these trainers, that's just how it's going to go down. That's not exactly like the way I deep down want it to be, but if it's about the truth, it should be about the truth. Okay, that's my thing. And so it's a terrible situation that's going on in the dog training world. But here's the thing, because the question is, well, can you come up against and oppose it this way at this level and still be okay or successful as a trainer? Well, it's going to be challenges. I mean, for sure that it's you're up against the tide of this craziness. But you know what? When it all shakes loose, when the dust settles, you're going to see it. Okay, I mean, it's just a massive. People have no clue how massive this problem is. It's massive. So it's a hard thing, but it is what it is. So because as things have gotten, because this is what's happening now, things are escalating, getting more intense. So even the kind of pushback I'm facing as things are starting to really unravel, that's the thing, right? It's like people's attitudes are getting worse. People are getting like more offended. You see it on social media, people are getting more. I don't know, it's crazy. So, it's out of my control. Right? There's things I can control, there's things I can't control. But the point being is I'm gonna be honest about what's happening. I'm gonna put the truth forward, and people aren't gonna like it. The majority of these trainers aren't gonna like it because the majority are all tied into this. So what do you do? But this is why I would tell people who are just starting off in the dog training world is really, like, as an individual, don't tie into this stuff. Don't come alongside this ideology, because sure, you could make money, but you got to live with the consequences of it. I mean, you got to look yourself in the mirror, and this is all, understand that you cannot reconcile these statements these trainers are making, saying they care about the welfare of dogs. That flies in the face of what this ideology, the position that puts dogs and owners in. It's a total lie. It's a total. So these trainers are going on social media and they're saying all this garbage, patting each other on the back, and they're not dialed in at all to what the problem is. They don't want to be. I mean, really, this is a ethical, moral issue at an individual level. Okay, so you got these support groups going on, these trainers, and I say a lot of it, unfortunately, it's going right to the wall. I mean, a lot of these trainers are not coming back from this. Okay, they're not going to suddenly, change their look at it because they're not incentivized to do it. I mean, that's just the bottom line. So let's play some more of this. I know it's a tough message, but that's the point of me doing these, putting these videos out, doing it on Rumble because Rumble is to have this type of conversation. It's definitely more freedom, uh, you know, um, freedom of speech, less definitely censorship because a lot of these trainers get very triggered. In the Ivan Belnoff situation is an example of that, that whole copyright strike situation. You can go do your own research, just how bad this is.
Grab. I think you get all these people isolated that anything you do that's not our way is wrong, and our way is the only way. Now, IACP is very different. Like, there's a lot of people that I met when I came and did speaking engagements for IACP that are positive trainers. We have a lot of positive trainers in IACP.
So what does that even mean? Like that's the thing. Positive, like got a lot of positive. See, this is the message. This is the bad messaging here. So you hear all this language, positive trainer, positive reward, and even Ivan Belnoff's like how he names his training without conflict right away, right? Training without well, no, it's a relationship problem. There's going to be conflict. Okay, if you just think about it, just at the very start. I mean, it's crazy. There's going to be conflict because the fact you're experiencing a relationship problem, you're in conflict with nature already. So there's going to be conflict because you have to reconcile the roles have to be reversed. Okay, so influence and control have to come in. So to even say without conflict, so the without conflict plays into right this learning idea of motivating dogs using say toys, play based, right? And it sets up the same problem I talk about within the framework of response. So, I mean, so here he's talking about, positive. I mean, it's so crazy to me, because they're just playing, it's just playing it. It's like, be honest here. Like I said, I tell people, it's like, I tell dog owners all the time, I joke with them, I say, if your dog hates your guts for 2 weeks, you're doing it right. Okay. But it's not personal that way. I mean, it's a role reversal thing going on. And so, you want agreeableness. Okay. So it's not about hate that way where it's like high challenge or anything like that. The dog understands it's about the conversation. Okay. Think of it like the child not liking the fact that you're moving from one parenting style to another. And so they don't like the fact that you're going to be in their airspace a certain way, certain expectations put on them. So it's going to be it's the same type of not liking. Okay. It's not personal that way. It's about relationship. It's about your role. So, if you love your child, okay, you're gonna do the right thing, right? You're gonna engage the right way. You're going to. It's not about being abusive or anything like that. It's about advocating because you want your child to grow up to be a responsible adult who cares about others the right way, that doesn't have a bad attitude, right? All those things. So it's about your level of investment. So as a parent, you're not just disconnected and just like jumping into the mix and coming off a certain way. You're like, you're invested. It's like when I train people, even in terms of dog trainers, I take a mentoring approach. You're investing in people, right? Giving them support long term. That's why this thing here that happened with these with the courses with these people spoke out with the anti-dog trainer, use those people. That bothered me so badly because I took great offense to what he did there because it flies in the face of what is ethically and morally, in terms of helping people. Okay, he just used that. He tried to use that situation, tried to gin up, um, you know, tried to impugn my reputation by doing something, and then a couple people left comments and even said it didn't even make sense about what this person was saying about that they were having struggles with dogs barking or whatever. But he just tried to use that. Me, I'm on a whole different level when it comes to things like that because I'm saying, hey, I want to, because for me, it's like I want to help this person because obviously there's a problem there, and I'm like, instead of because I separate that, it's like the anti-dog trainer guys just try to use it, but for me, it's like saying, no, I want to help this person so that I can get them in a better place, and go through and say, okay, but I didn't have an opportunity to do that. I still help the person. So to me, because it is about helping people, it's about mentoring with people. So it's not just about taking a situation. And so, for example, um, there's with the Ivan Belnoff situation or other situations, I've I could have done the same type of thing, and where people have gone through, say, not mentioning the names here, but gone through certain high profile people through their courses, right? And they didn't, they bottomed out. They didn't, I could have tried to do the same thing the anti-dog trainer did, but I wouldn't do it that way. You know, try to exploit, because to me, that's not the right way to do it. It's about information, saying, hey, this is the problem. But even when I do my flipping the script series, it isn't about hovering on certain people for that way. Now, situations with the anti-dog trainer or other situations, how they kind of played out, I left them, took the videos, left them there because they are an example of, because you want to look at that certain situation, say, well, where did it bottom out at? Like when things escalated, and things got nasty, but I still try not to get put, but the cheap shots, getting personal, right? Trying to use the course part of it. Yeah, I took great offense to that because that's a level where it's just about trying to get dirty, right? It's not about trying to respond to the information I'm putting out. See, that's the difference. See, and that's I put a couple of videos talking about one thing you won't hear these trainers beyond getting personal is them actually responding to the question I have up on my Facebook page. It's right at the top. What's the criteria? There it is. I mean, just unpack that. That's I call it the question of the century. See, it's like all these trainers, right? They can't go there. They won't respond to it because they can't. That's the source. I call it the source of the problem. And so they want to get dirty, and they want to, because all they care about is, hey, as long as if I can impugn his reputation somehow or use some situation, that's all that matters. Doesn't matter about what the real problem is in the dog training world. I'm just going to try to use something to try to leverage, right? And see, that's the problem I have with some of these individuals, like saying, okay, I have no use for you because I know what you're doing here, and just the tactics that these trainers are doing, and they're all doing it at some level or trying to. So play some more of this.
And we're
Sure.
certainly not telling them. I mean, do you have a new regulation that's coming about where they have to use e-collars to be in the IACP?
Absolutely not. They can do it any way they want to do it, as long as it's humane and ethical, right?
So there you go. So you're saying you can do it any way you want to do it. It's like the whole thing with balance training. You can be. It's like same thing. It's like you can be anything to anybody because it's all, again, what's it based on? Appearances, right? Superficial response, right? That's a setup as long as that's set in motion, right? So it's like it's very non-specific, right? It's just like that's the problem here. It's like you get into this whole thing. So understand that I said this in the last video. It's superficial, so everything, you're not going to get depth. Okay, you're going to get this type of response.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I think that's what we have to, that's what I'm seeing. And I mean, I'm looking to you because IACP, I think, is such an important organization. The first time they contacted me years ago to speak, I was like, yeah, I mean, there's no question about it. I would love to be a great part of this organization because it's the only thing left. There's no.
So here you got you got people, at these conferences speaking. So here's Robert Cabral speaking at a conference where he's the guy who made the statement, science has no place in dog training, right? Even though balanced dog trainers, and you hear them make statements on social media talking about balanced dog training being more science-based. That's a total it's a total contradictory statement because they've built off of this idea that trains and learn, but it built off the two quadrants, right? Four quadrants. They built off of a idea at its core tenets inherently flawed, based on how it's engaging a relationship problem, based on how it's setting a picture in motion within the framework of response. So it's inherently flawed based on, again, how its approach. So here you have balanced dog trainers who didn't, what balanced dog trainers should have done. Well, they wouldn't call themselves balanced dog trainers. They should have stepped in like I did as an individual and just looked at it and said, well, hold on here a second. Why are all these people coming to me who are cycling through this idea of things and they're still struggling? Like, why are these dogs failing? Like dog owners that are using the exact same methods and approach. Some are failing, some aren't, but what's going on here? There's something deeper happening. See, it never happened. So they've built onto it. They've added to try to add to it, and the foundation is flawed. Looks cracked. You can't build on a lie. Okay, and that's what they've done. So it's like, so when you make a statement about, science doesn't belong in dog training, not only did he not walk that back or, was challenged on it, he printed up T-shirts and mugs. And so this is how bad the dog training world. So how do you deal with that? So I'm gonna stop it here. This is part 6. As I unpack some of these statements, like I said, I'm not going to get through this entire, discussion. Part 6, and I'm 11 minutes in because I talked through everything. Understand? And this is why I say people complain, well, Dale, you do a lot of talking. Well, here's what I want to take away, what I want to leave you with. And think about this. This goes into this whole thing about responses and dogs moving around. It makes no sense to do something unless you know what you're doing, why you're doing it. Like, has anyone actually questioned these dogs are doing a sit down, come and stay? Like, what does that even mean? Is that really what defines relationship change? Is that just that superficial way in which you like tossing treats around and engage? Like, is that really the jumping in point for a relationship problem? Can you trust the pitcher that's being, ginned up through this approach? Absolutely not. I mean that's what I talk about. So it's like people want to complain about, about talking through, but that's the problem here. There's no critical thinking. There's no connecting dots. There's no depth. There's no information as to what's going on here. There's failure, and there's all sorts of people bottoming out. And these trainers, they're playing off a certain relationship dynamics. Okay, it's very deceptive. They're playing off of them. It's very easy to do. It's a total shim operation, but that's where we're at. So thanks for watching. I'll be releasing part 7 here soon.